for Thursday, November 4th, 2021. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Frustrated Democrats are blaming one another and President Biden after the party's devastating losses in Virginia and narrow win in New Jersey for Governor Phil Murphy. Dave Boyer, Tom Howe, Kerry Pickett, and Mika Sellner break down the aftermath of the results for Democrats, who failed to deliver big spending results for their base and risk the same situation in next year's congressional midterms. The president said he didn't know whether Democrat Terry McAuliffe would have won Virginia had Congress passed his spending bills before Election Day, as some Democrats have argued. Republicans said the election showed that voters had rejected the president's agenda. Party leaders in Congress moved quickly to focus the 2022 midterms on the issue of parental control in schools, a critical factor in the Virginia elections. One of the most alarming developments for Democrats and encouraging for Republicans was in Virginia's suburbs. Republicans won back thousands of voters who supported Democrats in 2020. Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin won suburban counties by 6 percentage points over McAuliffe just a year after Biden won the same areas by 8 points. Republicans also claimed at least 6 flipped seats in the Virginia House, which would give them the majority just 2 years after they ceded it to Democrats for the first time since the 1990s. Congressional Democrats are maneuvering to reinsert paid family leave and other progressive priorities into President Biden's $1.75 trillion social welfare bill. House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal pledged to add a federal guarantee of at least 4 weeks of paid leave in any version of the bill advanced by the House, congressional reporter Harris Alec reports. Biden initially proposed a 12-week paid leave guarantee, but that provision was scrapped after opposition from West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Manchin said any paid leave proposal should have widespread support and be adequately funded. Negotiations on the bill, part of the president's Build Back Better plan, have become mired in recent days during his travel overseas. The House and Senate are working through their revisions separately with little coordination. The effect is that both chambers are tailoring the legislation to the needs of their members, but risk crafting a deal that will be unacceptable to the other. A rule proposed by the Biden administration would allow companies to consider factors such as climate change, diversity issues, and political donations when selecting employees' 401k plans. White House correspondent Jeff Murdoch reports the proposal explicitly directs retirement plan administrators and asset managers to consider environmental, social, and corporate governance factors, known as ESG, when selecting investments. The Labor Department rule makes it clear that climate change and other ESG factors are often material and should be considered in the assessment of risks and returns. It would also rescind a Trump-era rule that requires administrators and asset managers to offer investment options solely in the financial interest of participants. Under the proposed rule, administrators could enroll workers in ESG funds as a default if the employee does not select an investment option. And finally, the Chinese military is rapidly building up its strategic missile forces and is on track to deploy up to 1,000 warheads by 2030, according to an annual Pentagon report. That's nearly 4 times previous estimates, are Bill Gertz reports. It expands on intelligence from last year, warning that China's force of about 250 warheads would double by the end of the decade. The report said the Chinese warheads will match the effectiveness and reliability of some U.S. and Russian warheads. U.S. military analysts now say China is moving to a launch-on-warning nuclear posture, similar to that employed by the United States and Russia, to deter nuclear-armed adversaries. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Just search Washington Times. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.